And to make the most amount of money, you need to master your market. And to me, markets is much more than just the city that you drive in. In fact, I want to break down your market into 3 areas: location, time, and people. When it comes to location, let's start big. There's a state, and the state that you drive in has a lot of the rules and regulations. And quite frankly, most drivers are only allowed to drive in one particular state. And after that, you have a region. And inside of a region, there might be multiple cities. And inside of those cities, there are neighborhoods. And inside of those neighborhoods, there are specific places, facilities. That, to me, is the definition of a location and a definition of your market. For example, I drive in the state of New York. And inside of my state of New York, I drive in a very big region. That region is called Central New York. And it stretches from basically Watertown to Binghamton, Utica to almost Rochester. My little village of Cazenovia is just right there outside of Syracuse. So I drive in Syracuse, Ithaca, Binghamton, Utica, Oswego, Auburn. Now, inside of the city of Syracuse, there are a lot of little neighborhoods or towns or even micro cities. For example, there's Syracuse University, Fayetteville, Manlius, the South Side, Beeville, Liverpool, the airport, Cicero, Camillus. And like I say, I live all the way down there in Little Cazenovia. And even getting more exact, let's take a look at the neighborhood of Syracuse University. There's the main campus, the South Campus, West Scott, Salt Springs, Armory Square, the South Side, Brick City. And if I were to expand back out, there are bigger facilities and places inside of the city. For example, there's the Amazon warehouse, Syracuse University, the Dome, the fairgrounds, the airport. And for me, all of this adds up to a market, at least from a location standpoint. So here's what I recommend. Master a neighborhood. Get as small and specific as possible. That doesn't mean you can't take trips elsewhere, because obviously you're going to take a ride from that neighborhood to another location. But find a way to first know one specific neighborhood as well as possible. For me, in this example, I really learned to master Syracuse University. I know every single building, every single street, every single pothole there in Syracuse University. I know Bird Hall and Flint Hall, you name it. I just know every single spot that I want to be. I know where to park. I know where I can't park. I know where the good bathrooms are. The bottom line is, if you want to get really good at mastering your market, start off by mastering a neighborhood. And once you've mastered one neighborhood, you probably know where the next neighborhood that you need to master, and go from there to there and keep expanding out. Master as many neighborhoods as you possibly can, but be an expert on those neighborhoods. Memorize places, when the hours of operations are, where you're allowed to park, where you can't park. That's what mastering your market and locations looks like. Know the driving times between these different neighborhoods. So you know when you get a trip between these neighborhoods, you know exactly what it's going to look like to get back to the neighborhood that you want to work. And of course, you can use some sort of map to actually mark and label sweet spots for yourself. And you can use a pen and paper, or you can use Google Maps, or you can use Apple Maps, whatever works for you. And if you want to know which neighborhood to master first, I recommend you look at the Uber and Lyft apps. Go online at any point in time. Just go through the app and you can see where there are surges, where there are hotspots. A lot of times they set up location bonuses. Whatever it is, they're going to tell you where the busiest spots are. And quite frankly, I recommend you find a neighborhood that's as close to your house as possible. That way you don't have a lot of deadhead miles getting to and from that particular neighborhood. In addition to locations, when it comes to mastering your market, understand that times matter. Example, when I was looking at Syracuse University. Okay, well, Syracuse University is extremely busy as a neighborhood on a Friday night when school's in session. However, on a Sunday morning during the summer, it's not that busy. So the time matters for each one of your neighborhoods. And again, the apps will tell you when it's the most busy. They have trends. They show you when they want you to be online. In fact, I recommend you put together your own calendar because there's three things that matters when it comes to time. Number one, when is it busy? Like, are there going to be a lot of people looking for rides? The second thing is when you're available. Can you drive when it's busy? So go through a typical week and try to find out when it's busy and when you can drive. But the third thing, and this is a guess, it's an estimate, but try to drive in those busy times in a neighborhood when you're available, when other drivers aren't going to be online. So here's an example. Uber and Lyft both say Monday morning will be busy. And it starts busy early for me in my city. In fact, people want to get to the airport as early as 3:34 in the morning. So it gets busy really quickly. And I'm available, so I can drive then. The good news is a lot of drivers, especially on a Monday morning, don't want to wake up. They've had a busy weekend. Maybe they got to go to work. So a lot of drivers don't even come online till 5 or 6 o'clock. So there's a sweet spot somewhere between 3 to 6 a.m. on a Monday morning that I know it's busy and there just aren't that many drivers online and I'm available. I can make the most amount of money in my neighborhood at that time. And that also means the exact opposite is true. When a lot of drivers are online, but there's not very many people looking for rides, that's where I'm going to make the least amount of money. And you don't need some sort of calendar app or anything to do this. Just get a pad and paper out. Write down on a calendar, on a piece of paper, and just say, here's when I know it's going to be busy. And then circle the times that you know you're available to go drive. And then from there, make a reasonable estimate of when you think drivers are also not going to be online, or maybe when it's really busy with a lot of drivers online. So again, going back to my example, I know that Monday morning, extremely early, is busy and just not a lot of drivers online. And the alternative is true. Early Friday afternoon, when everybody gets off of work, that's when a lot of the part-time Uber drivers, the ones that have the day jobs from 9 to 5, they're going to turn their Uber apps on early on a Friday because they want to make money for the weekend. So there's going to be a lot of drivers online at that time. So it might be busy, but it's probably not worth it for me to drive an early Friday afternoon. If I want to drive on a Friday, I might want to drive either in the morning or really late at night when a lot of drivers go back offline. And so while we're talking about times in terms of time of day or time of week, there's seasons. And there's a lot of parts to seasons. For example, there's semesters, there's tourist season, there's weather seasons. Here in upstate New York, it snows for like 6 months out of the year. Well, when it snows, it gets busy because people still need rides and a lot of drivers don't want to go online. There are concerts, conventions, carnivals, just so many activities that are seasonal and or periodic that you should be aware of. And you can sign up for email updates. You can go to websites, local news ones, to find out information about these events. You can follow event facilities, schools, whatever it takes. You can follow them online on social media. So going back to my college schedule example, looking at the seasons, I know that February through May is probably the most busy time when it comes to a college campus. It's bad weather. A lot of the college kids don't want to walk. It's perfect. And it's really busy. Obviously, during the summer, when the college kids go home, it drops a lot in terms of busy. And in fact, there's a lot of teachers, like people that teach at high school or elementary school, they come online to do like a summer job as an Uber or Lyft driver. So it even gets slower during that time. Then in the fall, it picks back up. And then right around Thanksgiving to Christmas, even into January, it really slows down tremendously. All the college kids go home and it just gets slow. Now, I'm just giving you an example of Syracuse and a college campus, but every city, every location, every neighborhood has these seasons. Every single time that you drive, try to find times to drive when it's busy and there aren't that many people online, and focus on a neighborhood. The final aspect of mastering your market is people. The reality is this: a college student in a neighborhood like that is going to be different than people in suburbia trying to get to the airport. Now, you and I can't dictate who's going to get in our car, who's ordering a ride. But if we drive in a neighborhood at a specific time, we can maybe get a pretty good sense of who's going to be getting in and out of our car. And each type of passenger kind of wants a different experience. Everybody wants safe, prompt, clean transportation. But a college student kind of wants like a party bus sometimes, especially like on a Friday night. Whereas again, the business traveler at 3 a.m., just some simple jazz and nice, quiet, easy, peaceful ride. That's what they want. So putting it all together to master your market, use a calendar and use a map. You can do it with pen and paper and just draw it out yourself, or you can use it on your phone. You can use the computer. It doesn't really matter. But to master your market, you really, truly need to have those things. Second thing is sign up for information. Follow different accounts on social media. Get email newsletters. Go to websites. Find out what's seasonal about the businesses and the locations that you can drive in and the neighborhoods that you want to master. Focus on neighborhoods and facilities. And the more neighborhoods that you can network together, the better off you're going to be. And it doesn't have to necessarily be in the exact same city too. I know there are some Uber drivers that focus on the neighborhood of like an airport and another city as a drop off, and they go back and forth 50, 100 miles, and they do that. So it doesn't have to be right next to each other, but the idea is they understand those neighborhoods. Drive when it's busy, and make sure that to try to drive when you don't think a lot of drivers are going to be online. Understand your common passengers, because you are going to get a lot of the same similar type of passengers if you drive in a specific neighborhood on a regular basis. And then use the Uber and Lyft apps. Sign in, check the maps, use the trends, find a way to understand when it's going to be busy and when you know there's going to be an opportunity for you to get a lot of rides in the neighborhood that you want to work. Doing this is going to raise your income and you're going to master your market.